Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another episode. In today's episode, we're out here in the north of the city, in North Meda. And the reason I'm out here is because, well, I gotta get some keys done. I was actually at the Home Depot just now, and I decided to, bring the camera along and show you exactly what the north looks like, because, well, for a lot of you guys out there, there's a lot of misconceptions thinking as to, how Mexico is still a third world country. But again, does this look like a third world country to you? Look at this, look at my surroundings, okay? And again, a good majority of not just this city, but other cities, have a large portion of the city that's just like back home in the USA or Canada, whatever you're used to. So again, just to give you a little idea of where I'm at, again, we got the Home Depot right there, we got a McDonald's, Office Max, we got the bank building, we got the Honda dealership, we got a Vips. Vips is like kind of like a Denny's, I guess. We got Sam's Club over there, we got Burger King, we got fans, big ass fans if you guys remember from one of the recent videos. We got Pemex, the gasoline station, and so on and so forth. Now, I went to Home Depot here thinking that, hey, they would have my keys here. Some of you guys have been following me for a while now. In fact, let's start walking and talking, because it's gonna be a long walk and it's brutal heat out here today. We're experiencing over 100-degree weather, and we might not be getting any rain today. I'm hoping for rain so we can cool things down, but either way, let's get to walking. But anyways, I was just at the Home Depot trying to get my keys done, because I just moved into a fancy new house with fancy new doors, and I cannot get the keys done anywhere. Again, as you guys have been following me now for a few months on my key adventure, still haven't been able to find any keys. By the way, see the traffic. So everyone that's always asking me, do I miss the USA? No, I don't miss the USA. I have the USA right here in my backyard. I got the traffic, I got the big stores, I got the, almost impossible, walking grid here. Because again, once you're in the north, it gets a lot more difficult to just walk around or bike around. You guys know I've been on my bike out here before. I gotta be careful. I don't have any of these guys run me over while I continue to walk. But anyways, so I don't miss the USA, because I got the USA right here. Now you see right here, the walkway ends, so I gotta go around this way so I don't get run over. Let's go through the gas station here. But yes, long story short, I gotta get my keys elsewhere now. At the Home Depot, at least they were nice enough and kind enough to let me know that there's a big key shop not too far from here, about 15-20 minute walk. So I was like, well, whatever, I came prepared to do a video today. So what we're doing is actually we're going to be walking from the Home Depot all the way up to the Northern Mall, where the Galerias Mall. And we've taken this path before on my bike, and again, it's a little different when I'm walking as opposed to when I'm on my bike. But either way, the reason I'm up here is because, again, I just wanted to show you how alike things are. Again, over there we have a bunch of small stores. You got everywhere from a place that sells chicken all the way to Comex over there, which sells paint, kind of like Sherman Williams type, and so on and so forth. We got the Oxxo over there, the convenience store. Again, you see the Sam's Club over there. Back, even further back, we got the Chedraui, the Sorianas, aka the grocery stores, and so on and so forth. So all right, we're gonna be walking through the city here, through the northern portion of the city, again, just to really show you what it feels like, what it looks like, to be up in this section of the city. Now, for many people that want to live in these areas, this is why it is highly recommended you get a car. In the area where I live in the center of the city. I live in the east, south, west portion of the city. In those areas of the city, well, you guys know, I get around the city on foot. I get around the city on my bike, or if I have to, I'll take an Uber, depending on where I'm going. But in this region up here, in order for me to even get up here, I had to take an Uber, and it took a long time to get up here. About 20-25 minutes in traffic, maybe more, 30 minutes. I could have taken the bus if I wanted to, but I don't got that much time to waste per se today. But anyways, as you guys can see, this looks very similar to what you would find back home. Again, it's like I'm blanking out on the term, but it's like a desert, it's not a walking desert, I guess. I don't know what the right term is, but it's not a walkable city, not a walkable portion of the city. Again, down south, look, that's Boston's. You know, some of you guys know that, some of you guys don't know it. They're all over Mexico. But as you guys can see, the sidewalks are lacking up here. It's more built for cars. You see cars everywhere. This is a Friday afternoon. I won't say like 1:30, 2 p.m. But again, out here is just cars. Because again, even when I was on my bike, it was a little difficult. As you guys remember, when I came up here, it was a little dicey because I had to get on the bike. You know, I was either on the road here or on, you know, the bike lane over there. But regardless, so out here, again, you know, most major cities out there in Mexico, they have everything that we have back home. We're not missing anything at all. And you know, you could see it in not just this video, but in other videos where I do come up here and I show you a little bit more of what it looks like, what it feels like to be up in the north. Now again, you know, back down these streets, you know, they're residential, and you know, all the nice homes are there. You know, when people are looking at homes and they're extremely expensive, they're usually up in this area of the city. But as I was saying, you know, these days, you know, about 88% of the Mexican population lives in the city. They live in these areas, and a lot of them, you know, what they're looking for is they're looking to basically get out of all right, let me see, I'm gonna walk down through in the middle here so I can maybe show you a little more, because again, it's hard to see, it's hard to walk around here. It's not meant for pedestrians, it's meant for cars, just like in the USA. But yeah, a good majority of the population of the whole country lives in big cities, and within the big cities, there are areas like where I live, you know, where I'm always showing you, where I have everything within walking distance, or a short bike ride, or even a short Uber ride. But out here, you know, there's no walking to the little store. There's no walking, you know, just to get to you know, the little corner restaurant or anything like that. Out here, you know, it's zoned out in a very similar fashion to what you might encounter, you know, back home in the USA. So again, I'm walking in an area I shouldn't be walking per se, but hey, it is what it is. So again, you guys can see here, you know, a nice little architecture, but you see again, the cars are the ones that dominate out here. You know, you see the roads, more roads up there, more roads on the other side. There's just roads everywhere up here, and it's really hard to get through here if you're on foot, as you guys can see. So because again, there's not that much to see from stop to stop, area to area. It's a lot of greenish areas. All right, so over here we have a Starbucks. All right, as you guys can see there, you know, very gentrified. But again, these places have been here for decades. This is nothing new here. We got the Marco Plaza over here. So we got to actually go to the Marco Plaza real quick, because I actually have to go to the bank ATM. So I might as well, you know, swing by here as we keep making our way north. So we got the new buses, the new I-trams. All right, I should have just taken the bus. Anyways, whatever, you know. But again, I wouldn't be able to really make this video if I was on the bus. But again, here we're entering the mall. Again, look at all the walking I gotta do just to get over here. And this is Gran Plaza. It's a big mall. Again, we got Sears. Sears is alive and well. A lot of corporations that maybe have gone defunct in the USA, they're alive and well over here. So we're just walking right here through the parking lot. But again, just feels just like home. nothing to see here per se, you know what I mean? Just the same old. Look at all the fancy cars, look at all the fancy people. Again, this is why I always laugh, you know, when people just you know, basically say, oh, you know, the foreigners are coming out here and they're making everything expensive. The foreigners are coming out here and changing everything up. Couldn't be any further from the truth. In fact, I'm probably the only foreigner right here right now. you know, in this whole area, you know, give or take. You know, there might be another one lost here somewhere. So all right, let's just go into the mall let's just go into the bank real quick so I can get some cash, and then, you know, we're gonna go on ahead and be on our way. Yeah, that's right, I got my hat on. It's hot, so give me a second. Let me get some AC, let me get my cash, and then we're gonna go on our way, and hopefully we can get those keys made today. All right, we got the cash. Now let's keep going on our way. All right. So a lot of you guys, you know, I know sometimes ask me, hey, how come you don't go inside the mall and film inside the mall and all that stuff? Well, the reality is that anytime that they see a camera, you know, they basically, security swarms me and they tell me I cannot be filming at all. In fact, even sometimes I've had security, you know, come at me, you know, even outside. Hey, you can't be filming out here. And so it's always a hassle. Now, you know, you're probably asking, well, how come I see other people filming inside a Walmart or filming inside a, you know, a store or inside the mall? How come you can't do it? Well, the reason is because, well, I got a crappy Mexican phone. And the reason that I, you know, have that phone is because I don't have $1,000 to just spend on a cell phone. So out here, you can actually get really good cell phones for a very affordable price. Again, in the hundreds of dollars, you know, 100. You know, speaking of crappy equipment, you know, yeah, my camera just died, you know, as I was in mid-sentence or whatever it was. It's that hot outside, okay? So speaking of crappy equipment, let's continue filming with my GoPro here. I just changed the battery, you know, to see if that would help, because again, it's just so hot. It was just overheated after just a few minutes of use. But anyways, all right, let's just get back into what I was saying. So you look, long story short, at least when it comes to cell phones, you know, a lot of times when you're buying a brand new, like super extremely expensive phone, you know, new Galaxy 78,000, or, you know, one of those iPhone 75s, whatever it is, you know, where you're really paying for is the phone technology more than anything else. All right, the reason I'm stopping here is because one of the first ever like footages I ever got, you know, back when I was, you know, me and Christian were still dating, it was around here, and we went inside that Sears and we went inside the mall, and I just filmed everything with my phone. And so anyways, long story short, you know what I mean, I can very easily film things, you know, with my phone, you know, in order to go in there, but the quality is just so lacking. The quality is just so crappy that I'd rather just not film at all. Again, there's plenty of other YouTubers out there, you know, they go inside the mall and they show you all the other nice fancy bells and whistles, but to me it's like, you know, what am I showing you inside the mall? You know, the fact that, you know, it's a mall just like you have back home, only there's more people inside the mall here and more people shopping, you know. I mean, other than that, what's the big difference, right? So that's why I really just don't waste my time filming inside these places, all right? Because again, not only is it a challenge and a pain in the butt, but on top of that, you know, the fact that, you know, like I said, you know, not only am I not allowed, but there's other people that just, you know, can do it because they have better phones, better equipment in order to make something like that happen. So again, you know, we're, you know, right, you know, at the exit of the mall here, you know, we're heading towards another mall, you know, again, the Mall of the Galerías, which is again further north, so that's where we're actually heading. But in the meantime, you know, on the way over there, you know, like I said, we're heading towards you know, the key place, you know, to see if we can get our keys done. So let's just go on ahead and you know, get over here into the shade because it's really brutal out there. All right, so let's just hang out here and let me show you what's on the other side. But yeah, look at all the roads. Again, there's not a highway or anything like that. These are just regular roads out here up in the northern section. But again, as you guys can see, look at over here, look at all the traffic, look at all the roads. Again, all the way over there, you know, we got more grocery stores, bigger stores. But again, it just makes it so difficult to function out here without a car. Just straight up. Oh look, it seems like they're about to put up the Christmas tree. It's only September. I mean, well, by the time you're watching this, it might be September or late August. We're filming this in mid to late August, so you can get a little put a little timestamp there. But anywho's, all right, let's just continue on our way. I don't want to get too lost. But anyways, yeah, so everything is just bigger and badder out here, you know what I'm saying? Like just bigger and just more used to what you might, you know, be accustomed to back home. So, you know, for a lot of Mexicans that have, you know, throughout the years been, you know, growing up or living in the villages you know, that I visit a lot, or they come from, you know, areas of like where I live right now, and they just, you know, want to move on up because they might have grown up in those areas, and they want something nicer, something very close to what they might be used to in the USA or what have you. Then they'll move up here to the north. So this is part of that the whole Mexican dream thing, where again, you know, for many years, for a long time, you know, the only way that they could achieve that in a sense is like, you know, hey, I'm gonna go to the USA or Canada, make a lot of money, bring that money back, and then build my dream home, or build my dream business, or whatever it is, right? But out here, you know, these days, you know, things are changing dramatically, and so people are now, you know, have more of an ability to make more money out here. They have a better economy. You know, the whole American dream in the USA and Canada is pretty much dead. So now they're able to do it here, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, simply put, you know, with a lot of work and effort, you know, they're able to not just live up here, but even like I said, you know, purchase newer things, such as, that's right, Teslas. Look at that. We got the Tesla dealership. I'm always, you know, going around here, and I'm always kind of showing it to you from far away, but look, you can't get any closer than this. In fact, look at that. We got a Cybertruck. This is the first time I've seen one of these bad boys. It looks just as weird as I thought it would look.
Bruh.
All right. So we got a nice little Tesla truck here. Here, maybe I'll get a few pictures here for the thumbnail. Well, look at that. So yeah, I mean, not only do they have, you know, everything up here, but people can afford it. You know, why else would they have Tesla trucks? You know, why else would they have a Tesla dealership? It's not for people like you and me. I can't afford a Tesla. You know, some of you guys in my audience can't afford that either. But a lot of Mexicans can. There's tons of Mexicans that can afford these Teslas, and all awesome new technology, you know, like the brand new iPhone or whatever it is, right? Maybe this be a better shot, you know, for the thumbnail. Maybe not, but whatever. Anyways. All right, let's get out of here. So again, the Tesla dealership, you know, they got the Apple stuff, you know, all the new Apple equipment, whatever, you know, because I work with a Mac, you know. I'm not a big Apple guy, but at least, you know, for my editing, you know, my personal computer at home, you know, for work, my workstation is Apple. And the reason it's Apple is only simply because, well, it's what works best, you know, at least for what I'm trying to do. Not because I'm a Apple fanboy or anything like that. I mean, I can give 3 craps. Like I said, you know, my cell phone is a name brand Chinese phone or what have you. So, you know, going back to that, you have all these options, you know, out here. You know, they got, you know, when it comes to cars, if you want, you can purchase a, you know what I mean, you can purchase a Tesla, or you can go on ahead and purchase, oh, I think the locksmith's right up ahead. All right. But anyways, as I was saying, you can purchase a Tesla, or you can purchase a Chinese car, or you can purchase a car from France, or from, you know, any other part of the world out there. They have many car brands out here that I never even heard of. You can even purchase the little tiny Chinese cars, tiny Chinese vehicles. Look, there's a Suzuki dealer right up ahead there, and so on and so forth. So, you know, out here, you know, there's tons of options, tons more options, you know what I mean, to, you know, for the typical Mexican. And so, like I said, you know, it doesn't matter what your income is, you can get what you want. You can, you know, again, the Mexican dream is alive and well. And again, for me, part of that freedom is the fact that you're able to live the life that you want to live. Again, even for me, you know, I got a really good cell phone. My cell phone is amazing, except that it just doesn't have a good camera. And, well, that's fine. That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Why? Because, well, I don't really need that camera, because I already have a camera that I'm always walking around with, my GoPro here. So see, look, it's very difficult to even cross the street here. But again, look at that. Look at all the roads. It's just, you know, car heaven out here. So, all right, so that's the locksmith over there. Wish me luck. I hope to God that I can finally get my keys done. I don't know what else to, if I can't get my keys done here, I don't even know what else to say. I'm gonna have to make them myself. So, all right, let's just go in there and see if we can get those keys done, and I'll catch you with you guys up in a few seconds. Oh, wows, oh, wows. Great success. I finally got my keys. Hallelujah. Oh my gosh. Praise Jeebus. What a great day has been. after such a long time trying to get these keys done, I finally got them done. These are the guys. The true test will be when I get home and I try them out. But anyways, all right, back on our trip. I just noticed there's a Cadillac dealer there. Very nice. All right, so let's get out of here. Again, shout out to these guys out here, lifesavers. Now, again, the keys were expensive. You know, it is what it is. Each key came out to like around 80 bucks. Sorry, $88, $8, right? So like around 150 pesos to 180 pesos. Now, it's because, again, those are the specialty keys. I also had some regular keys made, and those regular keys only came out to, you know, like $1.50 or whatever, you know? So anyways, all right, so look, we got to cross the street here. I don't even know how I'm going to do this. I got to get to that other side at some point. So let's just run, go for a run for it here. They're chasing me. Help. All right, so we made it halfway. We're halfway there. Oh, living on a prayer. So again, you got the, I know, right? horrible singing. So yeah, again, you got the dealerships, you got all kinds of stores, all kinds of things on the other side. Oh look, there was a crosswalk over there. Whatever, it's fine. We'll cross over here, no big deal. All right, thank you. Hey bro, how's it going? All right, so over there we got to keep going that way, because that way is where the Costco is and the other stores are, the mall, our final destination. All right, man, but am I happy or what? I cannot believe that I finally got those keys done. So anyways, just going back to that, like, again, it's not always the fact that, you know, hey, I gotta go to a Home Depot, or I gotta go to a big box store to get what I need or what I want. Again, going back to my inexpensive phone. All right, let's turn the camera around so you guys can see better. So anyways, you know, my crappy phone, I don't buy that at a big, you know, at a certain store. I go and buy it at the Mexican department store, you know, Coppel. That's usually where I get my phones. All right, by the way, this is where I would be crossing. All right, these areas here, this is where you get the bus. A lot of people are taking the bus. So right now we're about to hit the museum, the Gran Maya Museum. Christian was actually exhibiting her artwork out here very recently. So this is the Gran Maya Museum. It's a beautiful, amazing, you know, area, property. Definitely, if you're coming out here to visit, you definitely got to come out here and check it out. Look at that, it's a big ass museum there. So all right, I just keep walking straight here. Again, it's hard to, you know, to show things out here because there's not really much to show, in a sense. Unlike when I'm walking through El Centro, when I'm walking through the neighborhoods, when I'm walking in you know, basically my neighborhood, my neck of the woods, there's tons of things to show. Out here, you know, they're few and far in between. But either way, so I remember, again, when I was on my bike and I took my bike all the way down Paseo Montejo, and I took it from the one tip of Paseo Montejo all the way to the other tip to tip. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't help myself. Anyways, and we went on that side, so that's why we're on this side now. But anyways, on that side, it's just a bunch of businesses and homes on that other end. So we're just gonna walk through here so you guys can get an eye view. Again, look at the big steps to get to the big museum. Look at all the traffic, so on and so forth. All right, so, you know, but anyways, yeah, so back to the keys, you know, like the reason I went to a Home Depot is because I was going to all these places to try and get my keys. You know, there's tons of places that do keys out here, but I could not find my specialty keys. You know, I could not get, you know, someone out there to make those keys. And then I finally did find someone about a month ago in my neighborhood, and they made me some keys, and they were terrible. I mean, I had to throw them in the trash. And, you know, anyways, don't get me started. I could have easily gone back and gotten in a fight with the guy, but I'm not gonna get in a fight with the guy over $5 or $10, you know. So anyways, long story short, I came all the way up to Home Depot because I was told at the other Home Depot I went to, there's multiple Home Depots here, that if I went to this Home Depot that they would do it. And sure enough, you know, when I got my keys put into the machine spit it back out and said, nope, no way, Jose, we're not gonna give keys to this guy. So then anyways, like I said, you know, the employees there told me that there's another place that really does keys, and that's a place that I just came from. And you know, not disappointed, you know, like I said, you know, very professional, very awesome. The guy's like, hey, you know, we're sorry about your frustration with your situation. We would love to have your business. Please, you know, if for whatever reason these keys don't work out, come back, let us know, and we will, you know, replace them, give you your money back, whatever, you know. So I was like, wow, that's some nice service. But again, that's also what you get from being up here in the north, you know, where you're just a lot of people are just expecting a higher quality of service all the time, because again, this is a higher income portion of the city. So, well, you know, they gotta provide a better service as well. So again, Home Depot was a disappointment. I was at least able to get some gardening gloves because I needed some gloves for the garden. So I got that. And you know, again, regardless, you know what I mean, this made the walk and talk a lot more palatable, because well, I got to take a few breaks, so therefore give the camera a break, and again allow you to, you know, enjoy the story, you know, of me just trying to get my keys done. Thank goodness I got my keys done. So yeah, long story short, okay, so, you know, out here in Mexico, the reality is that, you know, it's not a third world country. It's anything but a third world country. When I first moved to Mexico, and I was in El Centro, and I was just in like the historic district, and I was in the hood and stuff like that. Again, not the hood. It might look like the hood, you know, from far away. It's just a regular neighborhood. But anyways, long story short, you know, I immediately thought, oh my God, what have I done? I moved to another, you know, I moved to Cuba, for crying out loud. But as I mentioned to you guys multiple times, within a few days or weeks, you know, I had already met friends and people that basically would bring me up to the north of the city, these areas here. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, I see. This area is, you know, this city, this country is no different than back home in many aspects. So, you know, the thing that I love about living in Mexico is the fact that you get to choose where you want to live. You get to choose a life that you want to live. Again, I don't need a car. You know, today it would have been nice to have a car, but at the same time, you know, since I'm already kind of, you know, used to a rough and tough life, I don't mind taking a walk. I don't mind if I have to, you know, get in an Uber. I don't mind coming up here on my bike if I have to. But if I'm gonna be living up here, yeah, no way, Jose. I need a car, some sort of car, any kind of car, in order to really be able to get around. You know, it's just the truth. But out here, I mean, in my neighborhood, you know, not only do I not need a car, I can just get around without, you know, with ease. And like I said, you know, many times I want to get dinner, and I didn't get to, you know, me and Christian didn't get a chance to make dinner. Well, I just go to the taco place that's like at the end of my block, or like 2 blocks from my house. If I need a last minute item from the store, you know, I got a convenience store right by my house, and at the same time, you know, I got other little corner stores, I got little hardware stores, I got all kinds of stores, you know, to basically supplement and get me anything and whatever I need. So again, right over here, guess what? That's the Costco, guys. That's right, the infamous Costco. All right, let's cross the street here. All right. Again, it's always a little dicey up here when you're walking, you know, since there's no pedestrian rights per se. But yeah, over there's a bunch of government buildings. In fact, I'm pretty sure that building all the way at the end that you're seeing there, that's the building that me and Christian got married in a long time ago. Before they were, you know, as they were moving things around, you know, because a lot of the political buildings, or sorry, a lot of the, you know, government buildings were moving around and putting them in new spots and all those stuff. But anyways, we got married all the way at the end over there. And so yeah, this is the street here. Look, that's the bus that takes you to Progreso and back. So right now it's on its way back from Progreso. All right, okay, let's walk through here. But again, this over here is a Costco. You know what I mean? So again, you know, I'm not, when would I ever come to Costco? I would never ever come to Costco. You know what I mean? Like I said, I think I've only been here one time, that I was here with a friend, and we went in there and it was just like any other Costco. That's it. You know what I mean? Nothing to write home about. Now, sure, in the house that we live in right now, I could definitely, you know, shop here and save a few bucks. But again, it's just such a long trip and so far away from where I live personally that it's not worth it. You know, why am I going to come all the way up here just to purchase, you know, a few things in bulk that might or might not, you know, go bad, you know, because I bought too much of it. And again, out here, there's a place you got to have a car, you know, to come out here and enjoy Costco. But yeah, you know, Costco out here is great, you know, in a sense, if you're into that. I'm not against Costco. I used to shop in big box stores all the time. I used to have my own business. Remember, I was in the restaurant industry and so on and so forth. So, you know, we used to shop in places like Costco, Restaurant Depot, and so on and so forth. You know, I'm sure you guys, BJ's, you know, whatever you got over there where you're at. So, and again, you know, you see all the cars. If you go inside the Costco, you see exactly, you know, who the clientele is. Again, mostly Mexicans. Sure, you know, here you're gonna find maybe a few more Americans or Canadians, a few more expats, a few more immigrants, you know. But you know, at the end of the day, it's, again, this is the majority of the people that live in these areas. The majority of the people that have money, the majority of the people that live in the first world of Mexico are Mexicans. It's as simple as that. You know, we're just new out here, you know. And a lot of you guys, you know how I know that it's not you guys living up here and spending money out here and stuff like that? Because a lot of you guys complain, you know, about, you know, for example, I'll put in you know, very recently I did some home tours. You know, I do a lot of home tours, you know, with Jose Novello, and we try to keep them on a budget, because I know you guys are on a budget. You know, I'm you know, trying to, you know, listen to my audience here. But hey, you know, there's a lot of houses for sale, so a lot of times, you know, Jose will come across you know, a bunch of homes. And you know, very recently we just had some regular homes, you know, amazing homes, you know, big homes. But at the end of the day, a lot of people are complaining that they're too expensive. And to me, it's like, well, I mean, and then, you know, and they're saying, well, you know, people saying like, oh my God, you're raising the prices for, you know, for the gringos. Like, no, these prices are already set. You know, these are the prices that are on the market. The Mexicans are the ones that are purchasing these homes, are interested in buying these homes. And it's as simple as that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when people tell me they cannot afford, you know, Mexico, or Mexico's too expensive, what I always think of is like the ones that want to live up here and they want to replicate that life that they have up there. And the reality is that, like, out here, if you want to live this life, you're gonna pay most of it in cash. You know, of course, the people got credit cards and debit cards, and you know, they take out loans and all this other stuff. But we've already talked about that to death as to why most people don't take out loans and how expensive, you know, it is to have credit out here and stuff like that. And that's why most people don't. And so, you know, the reality is that, you know, there's a big disconnect. You know, when a lot of you know, Americans come out here, and then all of a sudden, you know, they're trying to replicate this life. They're trying to go to these really fancy malls. You know, Liverpool is like Macy's or more expensive. This is like an expensive store, and it's packed on a Friday afternoon. You know, I thought everybody's supposed to be working, but no, there's a lot of housewives out there with a lot of rich husbands, and that's the ones that are out here shopping, you know, whether at Costco or here or wherever it is. They look, they're setting up something here. I think BYD is like one of those foreign car manufacturers that we were talking about earlier. They're probably setting up for the weekend, because obviously, again, this place is packed. You know, the police station is all the way back there. That's where you will get your car tags and your registration and all kinds of other things. So, you know, at the end of the day, check it out. You know, this is the mall. But, you know, to me, again, it's always like very laughable, you know, when I hear so many people complain about how expensive Mexico can be. Well, again, if you want to live like me, if you want to live in a neighborhood like where I live, if you want to live a similar lifestyle like what I live, you'll be fine. You got nothing to worry about. But if you want to be hanging out in this mall all the time, you want to be living up here in the north, you know, your rent is already going to be double my rent. You're going to need a car, okay? If you're going to be shopping at the mall on a regular basis, well, things are expensive at the mall, and so on and so forth. All right, I want to keep going this way, but there's like some music playing. I don't want that music to, whatever. You know what, let's just go a little further out this way so you guys can see what's going on over here. I'm gonna show you what's on the other side of the street, I guess. But yeah, it's like at the end of the day, it is laughable to me to just you know, always hear, you know, a lot of people out there complaining about certain things like that, because it's like, you know, whether there's like, oh, you're giving me the gringo price. No, this is the price for everybody. It's like, oh, you know, I went to Mexico, Jose, but you know, things are actually way more expensive than what you're saying they are. Well, again, it's because, you know, the things that you want to spend your money on. You know, again, I'm never up here. You know, I never come up here. You know, very rarely do I come up here. And again, I'm showing you why. It's because it's an expensive lifestyle up here. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, you know, so, you know, where are all these people, you know, getting their money, you know, to spend out here on their things? Well, because they have regular traditional jobs. A lot of them have their own business. A lot of Mexicans have their own business. You know, they're able to make a lot of money, a lot of cash, you know, back to what I was telling you about. And well, they spend it. You know, they spend it on fancy things. They spend it on many things. There's a lot of things you can spend it on. But that's the thing, though, you know what I mean? Like, it's a hard pill to swallow, because, you know, for a lot of Americans out there, a lot of Canadians, you know, they've always kind of been, you know, led to believe that Mexico's poor, Mexico's a third world country, that there's nothing out here, you know, except the villages and the poor neighborhoods, like where I show you when I live. But it's like it couldn't be any further from the truth at all, you know. So, you know, out here it's just very, very, very different. And it is a first world country, and whatever it is you need, you can get. It might take a little digging, it might take a little longer than usual. Like, for example, trying to get my keys here, you know, might be a little bit more difficult, you know, than the average like in the USA. You know, in the USA probably would have gotten these keys done a lot easier, a lot quicker. But I mean, it's just that's what it is, you know what I mean? It's just, it is what it is. And so, you know, every once in a while I got to come up here and I got to take care of something. Every once in a while I got to, you know, like deal with all this traffic, deal with all these people, you know, deal with the malls, you know, deal with a bunch of things that I just don't want to deal with. It's just the truth, you know. Why would I lie to you, right? There's a reason I live over there. Again, if I ever, you know, miss being home, I just come up here. That's it. You know, I come up here with Christian. You know, maybe we'll hang out at the mall. We'll get ourselves a Krispy Kreme. You know, we'll go and you know, get some bourbon chicken at the, you know, at the food court. We'll go see a movie at the movie theater. And not only can we have the same exact experience as I would have back home, but it'll be a lot more affordable. And also, very rarely would I be dealing with some sort of Karen or some sort of situation where it's just going to be very uncomfortable and very bad. Look, it seems like they're going to be, this is like where there's a big Mexican flag. I guess they took it down for whatever reason, the big ass mast there. But yeah, over there it's basically the end of the city. Up there's a periférico, the northern tip, and then as you go a little further and you're at the beach. So see, look at all this big fence, you know, all surrounding this whole area. You know, if I'm walking, you know, think about it, you know, I have to now make my way all the way around, you know, just to get to an entrance to walk into, because again, this is all for cars. Look at all these cars out here, you know, on a Friday afternoon. Again, people are still in school, people are still working, you know, people are still out and about, but yet look how many people are out. And by the way, you know what I mean, if you come out here at nighttime, you know, meaning if I'm out here at nighttime, oh my god, you know what I mean, the mall is so packed. You know, there's so many people out. It's hilarious. Oh, look, finally some stairs. All right, let's just go this way. But yeah, all the way back there is just more residential homes, more buildings, more everything. And that's it. So, you know, we're getting close to the end of the episode here. I'm going to start wrapping this up. I'm actually going to go inside Liverpool. All right, because they have a nice, you know, candy and sweet shop in there. And Christian, you know, there's some special confectionery things that she likes in there. I forgot what they're called, but you know, these special things that they sell in there. So I'm gonna go on ahead and end my show in, you know, out here, so I can go inside and buy my beautiful wife, my sweetheart, you know, some little surprise, so that way when I get home, it's all smiles, right? Happy life. It was a happy wife, happy life. And thank God for me, my wife is as happy as she can be, you know. So, but anyways, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's show, today's episode, today's walk through the vast, you know, chasm that is El Norte, the north of Mérida, the north of the city. Again, what a difference. Again, I'm only a few minutes away from my house. You know, in traffic, you know, it's like 20 minutes to get home, 25 minutes, give or take. But again, it's the same distance, you know, whether I'm on my bicycle or I'm taking an Uber or driving up here. If I'm gonna be walking, it's over an hour to get up here, you know, but I digress. At the end of the day, you know, I wanted to just, you know, again, show you what it's like to deal with, you know, living up in this part of the city, and in other cities. You know, there's many other cities that are very similar to this, where, you know, you're gonna just be you need a car. You just need a car. If you don't have a car, then you're not gonna be able to get around. In fact, when I was at Home Depot and the guy was telling me, oh look, you got to go to the other place, which is like a few, you know, blocks away or what have you, sorry, a few minutes away, you know, I told him, look, I don't have a car. You know what I mean? I'm on foot. He's like, oh, bro, that's crazy. You know what I mean? And it's like, it was only like a 15-minute walk or less. But anyways, I digress. All right, it's time for us to get out of here. I already saw some security guards heading my way. I don't want to be dealing with that crap right now. I got to go in there, buy that stuff, and head back home so I can edit this video so you guys can watch it. All right, so, all right, guys, you already know the deal. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit the bell icon. But more important than anything else, please stay awesome. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.